Good evening and welcome. I'm Bob Pace. I'm your host on this live podcast to fight CPS and stop taking our children. That's right, CPS, the Child Protection System that I call the CPS. They are terrible. I don't know how else to explain to them, but they're not what they're supposed to be doing. So I want to give a warm welcome to all your listeners. Now, you found this podcast by looking up on Facebook, Fight CPS. You found Bob Pace, and so you tuned in to my podcast. Now, I'm on twice a day, 7 days a week. I come on at 10 o'clock every day except on Sunday. Today I was on at 8, and that's Pacific Standard Time for 1 hour. And then at nighttime I'm on at 7 o'clock. And it was a long day. Hope everyone had a beautiful day. Now, who am I? Well, I'd introduce you my name. I've been fighting CPS for 15 years. I'm a family man. I have six beautiful children, 3 older and 3 younger. And then I've been married for 31 years. But I've been fighting CPS for 15 years, and 3 of them were very active. That's when they stole my children or trafficked my children. And I got back 2 out of the 3. I lost my daughter. I'll explain to you about that too. But they're very corrupt. Now, there's several ways you can interact with this podcast. One way is just by being in the podcast and being a good listener. You can take notes or listen to what they have to say, but anything like that. I'm contacting a couple of my regulars because sometimes the notification doesn't get out. So I just contacted Natalie from West Hollywood, California, a single mom. And Faye, who's in Richmond, Kentucky, I've contacted her, a single mom. And I also contacted Danielle, and she's from Georgia, and she's a single mom too. Those are people that are regular people that are in this room. Now, contacts have gone out, and the room is starting to fill full of people. And a second way, besides listening and taking notes and so forth, you may want to wish to express a question or a comment. So, a second way of interacting with this podcast is you can text me a comment about your CPS questions, your Child Protection System questions. Now, when I use CPS, I'm referenced to all of the Child Protection System in the United States. Some are called different names. In California, it's the Child Protection Services. Arizona's Department of Children's Services. Other places, it's bureaus. Other places, it has different names. But when I say CPS, I mean the organization's arm of social services that is supposed to protect your children from neglect and abuse and do family reunification. Bring the family back together. Why? Because the biological parents are the best parents to bring a family together. Now, when you type in a comment, please show your name, city, state, or country. And when I say country, there are countries that have text me comments here. I have about 13 of them. So far, it's been Bangladesh, New Delhi, India, then several countries in Africa, the South Africa, one of the provinces there, Mozambique, um, on the coast opposite Madagascar. We have Rwanda near the Central East Africa, near a lake. Boy, I draw a blank on the lake. It's a big lake in Africa. Lake Victoria, there we go. And then also another country up in the northern Africa along the coast on the west side, I have Liberia. And he's called in numerous times, and he's a scout. He works with scouts. He's a scout leader, and he works with the scouts, which now includes the girls as well as the boys. No longer called Boy Scouts, they called Scouts. So he's from Liberia. Now, going up to Europe, I've had England, Scotland, Wales, United Kingdom, and then I've had Denmark and Sweden. Then across the pond to North America, I've had Canada, both coasts that have texted in. I've had all the 50 states text in, and at Washington, D.C. So I've pretty much talked to everybody in the United States. It's about 500 people since last October. But I'm here to help you. I care about you being in, and I know what they do to you. I really feel sad for you because it was bad with me. If what I knew now that I knew, 9 years ago, I would never have lost my daughter, would have gotten my case over with. There's so much I did not know, and I have those in my rules. I have 4 major rules, but I want to go over how you interact with this podcast. So you type in a comment, make sure your case is complete. Whether you call in or text a comment, make sure your case is complete. What that means, I don't want to play ping pong ball where you'll say a few things and I have to ask and then you say some more. It goes back and forth, and it takes too long. So basically, you start off with what is your family makeup? Are you husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend? Are you lovers? Are you a partnership? How is your relationship? Now, are both parents involved with the children, or has one parent dropped out? Are the children by the same parent? Are they different moms or different dads? So all those are important questions to think about and so forth in the answer. So try to make up your family and what it is all about. Excuse me, boy. You want to tell the ages of the children, the sex of the children. Also, you want to tell me if both parents are still involved. Are you a single parent trying to deal with this matter on your own? Was there domestic violence? What were the causes? What were the allegations? Was it neglect or abuse? And the details about it? That would help me a lot. And then how were the children taken away, or were they taken away? Do they come to your home? Do you open the door for them? Did you give permission to come to your home? Did you give permission to take your children? You see, my rule number 3 talks about that. You should never answer the door, especially if you're alone, because we had 2 people recently killed just by answering the door. And both of them were really bad. They're bad police out there. And one was a 23-year-old Air Force airman, in the United States Air Force, working for that as a living. And he just had graduated from high school in Alabama and went to live in Florida. He's living in Gainesville. He has a nice apartment. And this sheriff in the Gainesville department got a call in about domestic violence. And they went to his apartment thinking he was the one, but he was the one. It was a mistaken apartment. Anyway, the sheriff did not do the right things of trying to get communication. He just roughly banged on the door and said, this is the sheriff, and just very intimidating. But the first couple of knocks he didn't. So the guy came to the door, opened the door, and sure enough, the sheriff opened fire 5 times. Bang, 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 bang. And the guy sloped over dying as his girlfriend he was talking to FaceTime was watching him. That's a horrific thing to do. Why did the guy have to shoot him? Now the guy did have a gun. He had a license to have the gun, but the gun was pointed down. And why couldn't the sheriff maybe identify himself a little bit better in the beginning and then maybe crouch low next to the door jamb and ask if the guy was alone and that he's there for domestic violence and that could the guy, if he has a weapon, that drop the weapon and put it aside of you and then put your hands behind your head and unlock the door. And if he hadn't locked the door, then the policeman could have opened the door and he could have grabbed the person's hand behind their head, handcuffed him, and searched for more people. But none of that sort did he. It was sad. It was sad. And then there was this lady that was shot in the face 5 times. I don't know what it is. Policemen just, they kill all the time. It's like, I don't know why they need 5 bullets to kill. I don't know why they can't lame somebody, like shoot them in the arm or the foot or something so they could deal with them better. But anyway, that's the reason you don't want to answer the door. You don't want to be shot at or killed. Also, you don't want to let your children go and so forth. So if you tell them that your children, you gave them away, because you see, there's only 3 ways you get into the house. 1 is if you give them permission to get in the house. 2, there's domestic violence going on, yelling, screaming, and the child is being hit against the wall. Maybe there's a weapon being utilized where it is. Well, then the police and the social services will step in and intervene because they want to concern about the child. The safety of the child is very important. So this black woman, this policeman came and shot her in the face 5 times. And he was a macho kind of policeman. He was fired that night, and then he was arrested for first-degree murder because he was wrong how he killed that lady. So I'm trying to tell you, it's not dangerous to open the door. You don't want to give up your children. That's not the way to do it. So with that being said, is that, the third way, by the way, they can get in your house is if they have a warrant. And a warrant is a court-ordered document signed by a judge, embossed with a stamp. And that stamp is, you can feel it. Anyway, on that warrant, it's supposed to say the person's names who is being investigated, the allegations, the names of the children, the address, and then the time and place where they're going to come in. The time and place where they're going to come in. And you can do all that by uploading in the fourth way I'm going to tell you is to be a guest. To be a guest. And to be a guest is very simple. We have a producer. Her name is Grace. She works behind the scenes. And she will help you get on the show. All you do is email her. I'm using YouTube and I'm using the StreamYard application. So her job is to make you feel comfortable, help you with how to keep track of the time, whether you use a timer or what you use there. And then lastly, okay, I don't know where my regulars are, but this is the third way they interact with there. Her name is Grace. She's the show producer. She works behind the scenes, and she'll get you on. She'll give you the link, tell you that there's no eating or smoking on the show, no use of names, and she'll tell you how to get on and how to be my guest. Now, all you have to do is pick one of the 14 times I'm on. I'm on twice a day, 7 days a week. That's 14 times. And sometimes the times may a little bit vary, but it's usually at 10 o'clock in the morning, except on Sunday it's 8, and on Saturday it's 7 o'clock every night there. So I know it's very difficult, but I'm here to help you, and sometimes being a guest and talking, on the show will help. Now, fourth way to interact with this podcast is to use my phone number. My phone number is 626-698-0990. And that's my office, and you feel free to call there. So my number, I use Vonage on the phone, so you can call in, and I'll put you on speakerphone, and you can talk about your case. Oh boy. Um, so what you're going to do is that you're going to, okay, um, email me my show, whether it's Sunday, it's I'm on 14 times, so you say Sunday morning show, Wednesday evening show, Tuesday morning, Monday evening, etc. Then she'll help you get the link from StreamYard and get on the podcast to what you do and not to do. I did mention that no names are said about lawyers or children, etc., social workers or judges, but also um, she'll help you get on. She's there to help you there. Grace. And she's at Grace at VincentWDavis.com. Grace at VincentWDavis.com. And it's going to cross my screen, I think, right now. Make sure. Whoops. No, it's here. That's the one there. So that's the email, grace at vincentwdavis.com. So please, um, you know, please pick a show time, and I'd love to have you on my podcast. Okay, we got Hannah from Atlanta. Welcome, Hannah from Atlanta. CPS, the children's attorney, have requested a continuance 3 times since my June 3rd deposition hearing was scheduled. Why the children's attorney, I know they're court appointed, asking for a continuance? What's wrong with the children there, Hannah? Glad to have you here. Hi, Happy Feet. Welcome from, I know you're from Arizona. So we have Atlanta, Georgia, and Happy Feet 7 from Atlanta, Georgia. And she says, hi, Bob. We got late off work today. Sorry, Michael and Shallon, aka Happy Feet, here saying hello. Well, welcome, Happy Feet. Yeah, that sneezes here. And Hannah was talking about her disposition hearing. Understood, Hannah. Now, the fourth way to be on this podcast is you can call in, and I'm going to put my number up so now you can start to call in now. And it's 626 698 0990. And you can call my phone, and that I have Vonage on here. We use the internet, so my phone's available for phone calls. So I'd love to hear from you, and I'll put you on speakerphone, and you can talk about your case like you're right there. Okay? So that's my phone number for office. By the way, I only answer during the times I'm on my show. Other times I don't answer it. I'll send you a message about the show times. I can only talk during the show times. Now, I was talking very briefly about rule number 3. I'd like to finish that up. I was telling you there was 3 ways that social workers can enter your home. You don't want to give up your children. You don't want to answer the door. Just think of those people that were murdered. That's not the right way to, you don't need to talk to them. You don't have to talk to them, and you certainly don't have to say anything. You just say yes, no answers, and be polite. But I would not trust them. I would not trust them. A lot of people, including myself, did not know that they need a court order to enter your home because I should never have shown them my home because my case was bad because they were trying to look for something for 5 years. I had a layman, my wife's sister and family were constantly calling in and saying negative things about us taking care of our children. So I had to fight them off. It was like 5 years dealing with them on that. So it is a very corrupt agency. I don't know how else to explain it to you, except it parallels Alice in Wonderland. You know, Allison falls in a rabbit hole, goes to a strange world, nothing makes sense. Well, they had that strange world. They had low cushion Um, a disposition hearing. Oh boy. Now, for all that do not know what a disposition hearing is, it's a court proceeding that determines the final outcome of the case. The purpose of the hearing is to inform the parties involved in the case what will happen next. For example, in criminal cases, a deposition hearing might determine if the case will go to trial or if the defendant will enter a plea. In a child dependency case, a deposition hearing might determine the legal and physical custody of the child, or if the children's division should try to unify the family. They should definitely try to unify the family. That's something that should be all done. I've already told you that the parents are the biological parents, the best parents to put kids with. So this usually happens after 2 to 3 weeks after the injunction adjudicated hearing, or I'm saying it wrong, but adjudicated hearing. Now, an injunctionatory hearing is a court session where a judge determines the facts or the issues of law. You can also refer to the trial phase of a juvenile case in California, where judges decide if a minor is delinquent after weighing evidence. Now, further, adjunctory hearing, also known as injunction hearing, is a trial-like phase in a juvenile justice case where a judge determines if a minor has broken the law and should be disciplined. In the case of CPS investigations, an adjunctory hearing can occur when the Division of Family Services (DFS) needs to prove the child is dependent, neglected, or abused, and that it's in the child's best interest to remain in Department of Family Services custody. We have someone new to the room. Well, her name is Forrest Wendy. Yes, it is. I wasn't sure if I could trust any of the caseworkers that were assigned to my case. You can't trust the caseworkers. They are very corrupt. Also, Forrest Wendy, what city, state, or country are you from? I look back on the hearings and trials in my case, and I wholeheartedly believe that should have helped me from day one. Nope, they don't. My case never should have stretched out to 3 years plus. Mine did 3 years. And at first, I didn't have an attorney, and I tried to do it with my court appointed attorney, which was useless. And then I tried to do it pro se, where I tried to do it myself. Further, Forrest says, um, she says, I remember one judge in particular that talked to me in a way that Kay known was biased in the court system, but his mind and way of thinking my case with respect was changed due to the juvenile attorneys. Wow, sounds like your case worse. Again, Forrest, Wendy, I don't know where you're from. Appreciate you could tell me and share me where you're from. Now, I talked a little bit about rule number 3 about letting them in your home. You know you're not supposed to do that. I gave you examples of when people that open doors, how bad things can happen. So nothing really good. If you're outside and you meet a social worker, a good way to send them off is tell them that you can't talk any further till you speak to your attorney regarding what was what was said by them, and that you'll get back to them. But you need to take their name. You got to see their ID because they do lie about their name. The same thing goes with police. Look for their badge number because the police and CPS will lie. They have no problem about lying. Okay, Forrest Winnie's from Detroit, Michigan. Okay, welcome Detroit, Michigan. That is great. And you have 8 children, and you say a 46-year-old broken-hearted mother. I can feel for you. Faye is like you, 46. She's young like that, and you have 8 children. Forrest, are all 8 children taken from you, or do you have them, or what's your case about, Forrest? Okay, your oldest child is a 21-year-old son. My youngest is 3. Well, CPS only deals with people under the age of 18. So, how many children under the age of 18 do you have? Hmm. Okay, Forrest says all but one is still in care. So you have out of the 8, only one is still. Are they with CPS? Are they with the foster home? Where did all the 8 children go? What happened about your case? Now, Forrest says the other older two, 19-year-old son and 18-year-old daughter, have been terribly brainwashed and won't return home. Well, they're adults, and I'm sorry to hear that. I have older children too that have stopped talking to us parents. So that's what Forrest Wendy had to say. And then she further said, every day I miss my children, but I have to catch myself from falling into depression um, because I am working on getting more information to help me find out their whereabouts. You know, research is really important. You spend 40, 60 hours researching about CPS in the area you live, and you'll learn a lot from that, a lot of things you use against the agency. But it sounds like you got a real battle there for us, a real battle. And she's from Detroit, Michigan. Every day I miss my children, but I have to catch myself from falling into a depression because um, I'm working on getting more information to help me find out their whereabouts. That's so sad. You know, families are so important. And when parents care, they should be supportive and not put down. All the time they get put down, which is wrong. They shouldn't have that. Hi, Faye. Welcome. Faye just came in the room and she says hello and hope you all having a good night. Well, it's kind of slow, Faye. We've had Forrest Wendy and Happy Feet have texted in. No one's called in. I gave out my number and stuff. And we've talked about rule number 3. I was just getting ready to talk about rule number 1. But we have about 10 people in the room. Some are chatting, some aren't. So, Faye, what would you like to talk about tonight? What are some topics that you may have that you'd like to help us tonight? I know you all are on the East Coast, so it's later time, and it's already after 11 o'clock Eastern time. So, um, does anyone have any questions? I have over 30 topics I can talk about and so forth. Um, Faye, did you want to call in and talk on the show? Forrest, you like to call in? Happy Feet, you like to call in? And Hannah from Atlanta, you like to call in, Hannah? So we have Hannah and Happy Feet and Forrest and Faye right now. They're talking in this close proximity. Uh, Now she says the younger five are still in foster care, but two, my Knowles one, has been adopted out by a careless foster parent. I'm so sorry to hear that they were adopted out. You don't have to sign paper. You can fight it. You can fight it. Is that they hope they can wear you down, these CPS workers. I'd like to go to rule number one, that is to hire an attorney. I know you may have a court appointed attorney, but that's going to hurt you. Here are the reasons why. One, they're not qualified. Two, they're not paid very much, so they're not going to work as hard. Three, they're not going to fight for your case. Four, they're going to have a caseload of 30 more clients. And so you can't really trust them. And they can be really awful against the softball matches that we're trying to present here at the Indian Games. Let me see what Forrest says. Every day I miss my children, but I have to catch myself from falling into depression. I know what that is because I'm working on getting some more information that'll help me find out their whereabouts. Faye, well, I found out that the social worker that left the newborns in the car unintended was not licensed. Well, that's even worse news. See, in Kentucky, all the social workers have to be licensed, but Faye is wondering why half the social workers don't have license and why the child protection system is ignoring that. Forrest Whitney says it's extremely sad. I've been misled lately for allowing myself to feel my emotions. I've been called hostile, hyper, and angry. Has anyone experienced this from associations or family members? Oh, yes. I think what's happened is that sometimes family members will turn against you, which is sad. CPS makes it miserable for you. They're going to lie and cheat and take revenge. I had a social worker, very young, social worker in her early 20s, no background, no license, no college education, no experience in social work. And she was supposed to get my family reunified. And instead, she did worse than that. She went on the witness stand when when our child was being trying to be adopted by my wife's sister and her husband. And our attorney at the time, Mr. Davis, said to the social worker, has there been domestic violence at my wife's sister and husband? And of course, she said, no, they're beautiful parents, no domestic violence. Well, then Mr. Davis went to his briefcase, pulled out a folder inch thick. Inside was all these reports of domestic violence at the address between the wife and the husband. So definitely, she wasn't too happy, the social worker, about have to tell you about that. But anyway, um, okay. Forrest said, it's extremely sad. I've been mislabeled lately for allowing myself to feel my emotions. You're not, you don't feel you're mislabeled. You're a beautiful person, Forrest. And you certainly don't let them intimidate you. All but one family member showed up in case for my whole case. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry. Sometimes family members are bad and they turn against each other, which is really sad. They turn against each other. So Now, I have rule number one, which is you should get an attorney, and and you're given a court attorney because you can't afford one, and you don't have to use it if you can't afford one. The thing is, once you have an attorney represent you in court, you won't be able to talk to the judge. It goes to the attorney. The court appointed attorneys are not fighters. They won't meet with you separately to fight your case. They'll show up the time of your hearing and they'll say very little and move the court case on and not get anything that you want. So I'm offering an attorney to talk to you. His name is Vincent W. Davis. He can be reached at 888-888-6582. And he is a very experienced professional family dependency juvenile attorney. He has many years' experience fighting CPS and getting the children back. Um, So this court-appointed attorney is also going to have a caseload of 30 more clients. So they won't be spending much time with you. They're kind of wasted time. You're not going to get your kids back using a court-appointed attorney. I'm not saying you can't, but my experience, I used them and got nowhere. I had to get a licensed attorney, and that was Mr. Davis. And he took on my case, got my boys back, and finished up my case. But it was really a very tough one. Very, 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 very tough. Support is very important for us, and I know how that feels not to have support. Like when Faye comes in here, she's so supportive, and I'm glad that she's in this room. She's very supportive mother out there. All of you that are listening and so forth. But I'm trying to contain that rule number one that you need to get a professional attorney. Please call in at 888-888-6582 and ask to speak to Mr. Davis for a consultation. It's 30 minutes for $60. 30 minutes for $60. Okay, now Forrest says something more. I'm waiting to hear from something Faye or Happy Feet or Hannah from Atlanta. You have anything more to say? My phone number is on. It's 626-698-0990. Now, Forrest has asked a question. How do I find out if the adoption for my 50-year-old daughter, Marcy, was illegal or legal? Okay, we don't want to use your children's names. To find out if it's legal or illegal, you need to get the court records. Now, the clerk can give you the copy of the court order, and then, you can read it, but you need to have an attorney look at it. And they're going to charge you for looking at it. It's really tough. You're fighting an area that we're really hurting with real attorneys. Hmm. Hmm. So please talk to Mr. Davis. It's $60 for 30 minutes. Well worth every dime you spend. He'll give you strategies and help you with your case. You can ask him about retaining him. He'll go over the retainer. and he'll go to any work anywhere um, in the United States. So you need to see the court papers to see if your daughter was illegal or legal, because they'll say that in the court documents. They'll say it in the court documents. Nen Forrest says, "Thank you. Do I have to review it first with an attorney, or can I go over the court documents?" You can go by yourself. It should say very clearly that your child was adopted. It should be their legal there. And again, it's always best to go over with your attorney about things. Your court-appointed attorney, I'm talking about the one that you pay for, either consultation or they help you out with other matter within that the paperwork. Okay, Forrest. Hopefully that will help you out there. Okay, we have someone new to the room. Poo P Famina from Kenny. Okay, I guess your name is Kenny from California. What city or county are you in, Kenny? Welcome. Now, I've told you about rule number 3, which is not let them in your home and don't talk to social workers, don't give up your child. Rule number 1 is how to hire an attorney, and um, that's real simple there. Now, rule number 2 is the paperwork. Make sure that you organize your paperwork. I suggest getting an 8.5 by 11-inch notebook, 6 inches thick if you can, 3 rings, and then stuff it with get some dividers. So you're probably going to have 10 different topics. And then you want to make it Okay. Um, Kenny from California says El Dorado County, California. I guess that's the county he's in California. I have no idea where that is. I don't know if it's Northern California or further. I have about 4 minutes left of my show before I have to end it. Um, it's probably too late to call in, so I'll take my number down. And again, I'll be on tomorrow morning at, oh boy, got the wrong one there, um, at 10 o'clock. I may be on earlier because there's a program that I'm supposed to go on at 11 o'clock sharp. So I may be on a little bit earlier than 10 o'clock, maybe at 9. Uh, so I'm about ready to wrap up the show here. Let me see here. Um, my 16-year-old daughter was beat up by her 18-year-old boyfriend. Now, what should have happened is your daughter should file a domestic restraining order for domestic violence. And so your daughter was taken from you because you neglected and didn't protect her. But she was released in the ER room. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Can I call in tomorrow? Yes, you can. I would call in tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock my time in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning. And that way you can talk more about your case on that. So I want to thank Pooh Phenomena for coming in. That's Kenny from California. Forrest from Detroit, Michigan. Thank you for texting in. And of course, Faye, thank you for being there and helping out with this podcast. Also, I want to thank Happy Feet for coming to the room and Hannah from Georgia. I want you all to keep trying to protect your children. Don't give up. Be a fighter. This is Bob Pace saying, God bless. And I'll see you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Bob Pace signing off.